why don't we take some of your calls? Why don't we do this?
You called. Presented by Playground.
Brought to you by Playground, your premier gaming destination located just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. And there, you always learn stuff here on the Sick Podcast. You're going to learn stuff a lot of times. This is probably the first time that you heard the players that weren't playing on the fourth line. They were doing a rotation, and there was 4 or 5 guys that were doing a rotation, and they never knew who wasn't going to play. They would actually find out by watching sports on television. Isn't that something? Why don't we get to your calls? 1-888-585-7425. Agnello and Sammy, open up the lines right now. I'll get to your calls. The Canadiens win by a score of 2-1. They win it in shootouts versus the Calgary Flames. And Cole Caulfield is out for what appears to be, very unfortunately, a concussion. Let's hope it's not all that bad. Mind you, a doctor once told me, Tony, concussions are all bad. A concussion is a concussion is a concussion. And he says there's no such thing as a minor concussion. Every concussion is major, he said, even though there are reports every now and then of concussions being minor. This one doctor told me if it's a concussion, it's major. All the best goes out to Cole Caulfield. We'll get to some of your questions. We'll get to some of your calls. And Yellow and Sammy, bring them up. I hope Caulfield is okay. Says Farzine Cara. I also hope he sits out for a few weeks so we can start losing some games, trade some guys. Winning the draft lottery is much better than losing round one. I agree, but it seems like I don't have too many people agreeing with me. Others. And let's get to your calls. 1-888-585-7425. It's a toll-free number. Tony, any truth to the rumor of Edmonton to Edmonton for Puljujarvi and a first-round draft pick in the draft? Edmonton would like to have Joel Edmondson. They need a stay-at-home defenseman to help stabilize things. They need a leader. They need a veteran. They need another voice in a room, and they need a guy who's won a Stanley Cup. They'd be willing to give up on Jesse Puljujarvi. Would they be willing to throw in a first on top of that? That I don't know. We're going to get to some calls or what? Are people shy to talk to me? What's the story here exactly? Hey, don't be shy. I don't bite. Let's get to some questions. I heard Toronto also, Tony. Listen, a lot of teams would like this coming in from Kelly. A lot of teams would like to have Joel Edmondson on their team. Says Darren Moran, I love this team. George says maybe Carbonell wanted everyone to prepare like they were playing. Still, bad communication. Young Gun says play Safkowski on the top line. Others coming in. Tony definitely bites. No, I don't. HDR says you don't need Puljujarvi. John Wayne. Chris says Puljujarvi's another Yakupov. John says they would love to have they love Kulak. Imagine how much they would love Edmondson. Other questions coming in if we don't have any calls to get to. If you want to jump on a line right now, I've been told that one is available. What about Brock Besser? Tony, can the Habs get him? I believe they can. This is coming in from Peter. But he's going to make $6.65 million after this year for the next 2 years after that. That's the challenge. But his value's at a low right now. I believe you can have him for almost nothing. And I think if you can get him going in a couple of years from now, you can end up pulling off a trade like you did with Tyler Toffoli, getting 4 pieces, 3 really good ones, or 2 really good ones. Emil Heineman was a good one, and a first-round pick. Then you also got Tyler Pitlick and a 5th-round pick. Who's going to be the first one to call tonight in yellow? Why don't we give them something? We can give them something or what? Ring a bell, do something, make them feel good about the project or what? What's the story here? 1-888-585-7425. You're watching right now on YouTube. You're watching on Facebook. You're watching on Twitter. If you want to call in, now's your chance. Don't call in when lines are full. We've just got a couple of them and open them up for you. Sammy, what are we doing here? Drouin, Suzuki, Anderson. about to be reunited. Maybe with Caulfield being out. Yeah, could very well be. Hopefully, and I don't want to see Caulfield out of the lineup, but hopefully it's an opportunity for players coming back from injury, and then they can get going, and then it raises their value. We need to get Peter from Côte St. Luc the number in yellow. I spoke with him today, and I spoke with him yesterday, and I spoke with him the day before. Peter is doing well, by the way. He's been calling me to check up on me to see how I'm doing. Called me about 10 times in the last 3 days. And he says that he's going to call into the podcast. But I told him that it would be cool if he would do it via video call. And, he would need a microphone, and he would need a video camera, and he would need internet and stuff like that. And he's got internet, but I told him to call his provider earlier today to see if they have high speed, because he's going to need high-speed internet. Looks like we got a call. Joe in Ontario.
Hi, Tony.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good.
What did you think of that second line of Anderson, Slavkovsky, and I think it was Evans centering?
Yes, it was, because Dvorak was centering the other line, and it was, and I kind of like it.
I liked it too. It seemed like it brought Anderson to life. Like he seemed to be all over the place in that game.
It brought Anderson to life, but he's going to have to stay alive. That's been his biggest challenge, is consistency. But yes, it brought him alive. You're right about that. I have a feeling he likes playing with Slavkovsky.
I think so too. And Slavkovsky's shot for me can be very dangerous. Like he's always calling for it. I can see that when he's on the ice. But
did you get the feeling he was going to score in overtime when he wound up and took that shot?
I thought so, but I just don't know. I was confused as to why he wasn't put out on for a shooter in the overtime.
Yeah, well, look, I guess they practiced these things, and they went with the guys that probably end up scoring more often than not. But I would have loved to have seen Slavkovsky be one of the shooters for the Canadiens. You're right about that.
Yeah.
Joe, thanks so much for the call, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for what you do.
All right, you're very welcome. Who's next? From Joe in Ontario to Ted in Vermont.
Good evening, Tony. How are you?
Very good. How are you, Ted?
I'm very well, thank you. First-time caller, long-time listener.
Welcome. Long-time listener, meaning you used to listen back when I was on the radio. Is that it?
Yeah, when you were on the radio, and I've been watching your podcast. Admittedly, I'm an older guy, so sometimes I listen to it in the morning. Can't always stay up late at night.
I hear you.
You'll appreciate the fact that I do it anyway.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure listening to you, Tony.
But
and you offer a lot of good entertainment.
Thank you. That's what I like about the podcast, though, is that so we go at 10 p.m. Eastern time, and hopefully everyone stays up to watch and or listen. But if they don't, they can go back and listen anytime. And this is it's not to take a shot, really. It's not. But one of the things that I found very difficult or, bothered me in regards to radio is that, I could have what I thought was a great interview, or I could have what I thought was two great interviews, or I could thought what I had was a great show, and it wouldn't always be logged. And I get emails all the time saying, hey, I missed your show today. I went on the website and I went under your show and I didn't find anything. And that happened every now and then. And the cool thing about podcasts is that it won't happen with podcasts. The podcasts go in a library, right? You get to watch them on YouTube. You get to watch them on Facebook. You get to watch them live on Twitter, but you can always find them on the Facebook group page. You can always find them on the YouTube channel. And if you want to listen to them, you can always listen to them on Google, Apple, and Spotify. And what I can tell you is that our advertisers are really getting into the podcast world because, once again, your ads stay in a library and they're there forever, which is pretty cool. But thank you, Ted. So what did you think of the game tonight?
I love the game. I'm in your camp for wanting a full rebuild.
Yeah.
But I must admit, Tony, every time I watch a game, I still want them to win. I can't get it. I've been watching them since 1958. I was 3
Wow.
years old when I watched my first hockey game.
Wow.
And been watching them all my life, and I'll never want them to lose.
Wow.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I would like a full rebuild.
That's what a fan is. A fan always wants them to win. Okay. Thanks so much, Ted. Thank you for calling. I appreciate it.
Hey, I appreciate you. I love the TV show aspect of it as well. And you have great guests. I'm missing some of your guys from the radio show, but who you have are terrific.
Yeah. Who are you missing exactly?
Well, you used to have Normand on.
Yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, Francois Gagnon every once in a while and stuff like that as well. You know, but it's not a shot at your show. You have some great entertainment.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Yeah. I have, an open invitation to a lot of people to come on, and some of them just can't. But that's not me.
Hey, it's the politics of life, right? Sometimes.
Yeah. Listen, I don't want to look back because I decided to move forward, and I'm loving my decision every day. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Thank you for sticking with me.
Just keep on looking forward, man.
Thank you. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you very much. Ted in Vermont. All right. Where are we going exactly? Sammy? You got to see Sammy working behind the scenes. He's working like at 100 miles an hour. Jeff in London, Ontario. Jeff, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Very good.
Awesome to get to actually talk to you.
Hey, thanks so much. What's going on?
I was going to talk about the game a little bit, but I was really disappointed with Doc. The last 7 seconds there, taking his time getting around the net, finally passing it out. And I think it was Hoffman that took the shot. I just thought that was a poor use of the last few seconds of the game. And then also I thought Slavkovsky kind of looked, when he got the puck, especially in overtime there, a few times, just seemed to pass it off right away. Didn't seem to want to make a move with it. And I don't know, some of the moves we've seen him make in the past just doesn't seem to want to make them now.
Yeah. But with time, confidence, right? The confidence is going to kick in.
Hopefully. I'm just, I'm hoping to see him take charge against a defender at some point and, knock him out of his skates.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. You've been heard.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was Jeff in London, Ontario. Sammy, where are we going? Don in Toronto. Don, what's going on?
Hey, Tony, love your show.
Thank you.
Interesting show tonight with Larac. Really enjoyed that, So on that topic, what'd you think of John Cordick as an enforcer from Montreal? I remember those days. He was pretty impressive.
Yeah, he was, but Cordick was very exciting to watch his fights. I don't think he had the knockout punch, though. I mean, he used to give guys 20, 30, 40 shots. Jay Miller told Chris Nyland that his punches hurt a lot more than Cordick's.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
But John Cordick did have some skills, though. Do you agree with that?
Not really. I mean, Chris Nyland was a much better hockey player than John Cordick. I mean, Chris Nyland scored 20 goals.
Okay. Yeah, well, I kind of like John Cordick, but Yeah, he was exciting as a fighter for sure.
He was. He definitely was. He was one of my favorite fighters to watch. He was one of my favorite fighters all time. But I think he locked that knockout punch. He passed way too early. A real shame. Unfortunately, drugs got the better of him, especially cocaine. I've been told we have another caller. Let's go to it. Who do we have? We have Bobby in Miami.
Hi, Tony. How are you?
Very good. What's going on in Miami?
Well, the same thing that usually happens this time of year with me. I'm staying away from the cold.
Oh, Bob Marrier.
That's it.
Hey, what's going on, my man?
I'm good. I've just muted the computer because it was getting confusing listening to you. I commend you for doing the right thing, following your heart. I commend you for that big time. I remember the night it happened. You probably have a million texts. And I sent you one, and later on in the day, I said, you put your family first, and you did not blink. And for that, you should be damn grateful. The road you've traveled to get here, outstanding.
Thank you.
And really, this is really taking off, and I like the fact that I can do this.
Well, I mean, when you say follow my heart, I mean, my heart was there too. I mean, I loved radio, and I loved doing what I was doing, and in an ideal world, I would have loved to be able to do both of them and be able to continue to grow both of them. And, it just, it's
a better operational. I find it a lot easier. I'm sorry you think you'll never miss out in my book. You'll continue to grow.
No. I am growing. We're going to grow it more, but hey, look, it's all right. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
And I'll give you some up energy now.
Yeah.
We're Canadian fans. Oh man, can you imagine this turnaround might only take a year? And I think it's going to take a little longer than that.
How long do you think it's going to take? As I just blew my nose.
Well, I mean, the future looks brighter. Defensemen look good, but I don't think it's going to be done in a year. It's going to take.
Well, done means what exactly? Let's elaborate on done. Done means what exactly? That they'll make the playoffs?
Regularly competing. Like today at the first period, it was like, man, this looks like the beginning of the February doldrums, and they'll look that sharp, and then the game turns out to be highly entertaining. But this team has to grow. They're young. At one point, they showed a stat like these defensemen have in their 20s, their games. They're young 20-year-olds, and they don't have a large amount of experience. But in Montreal, one's going to aim high every year. Do I think we should try and tank to lose? No, I think we should. You learn a lot by on-the-job training, and they're going to get that. I think that being okay with failing and failing harder and learning better is a damn fine thing to do for these young players. Back in the day when a mistake would go on, an old coach would have thrown this guy and he wouldn't see the bench, wouldn't have left it. And you see St. Louis being able to allow these mistakes, almost say, hey, did you learn something from that? Good, don't do it again. Back on.
Yeah. Are you staying in Miami for the holidays?
No, I'll be back. It was a work day today.
Is that right?
What I do down here. I've got another one on Thursday. I'm going to this. That's what I do.
I actually looked at Miami. I found a great deal to go to Florida from the 18th to the 24th. And I told my wife we go to Miami, and I thought she was going to be all in. And she said, no, what are we going to do in Miami? And I looked at her and I said, what are we going to do in Montreal besides stay in our houses, watch the snow come down, put our pajamas on, sit on the sofa, and turn on the fireplace? She didn't come back to me yet. Hey, Bob, I hope I get to catch up with you at some point, buddy.
You can come stay with me anytime, man.
All right.
Thanks again.
Thanks, buddy. All right. There you have it. The great Bob Marrier. Bat Pete's brother. I love that guy. He's a good guy. He, for those who don't know, he helps people with drug addictions. And, he's been through a lot himself. And he was able to win his battle, and now he's helping others win their battles. And he's doing amazing, amazing stuff every day. It's pretty awesome. We're going to take one more call. Is it K1?
Kaiwan.
Kaiwan. Sorry about that. Kaiwan, how are you?
No worries.
You're in Kitchener, correct?
That's correct.
All right. What's going on?
Oh, just thought I'd give you a guy. Am I talking to Tony?
Yeah, you are.
Oh, you sound different on the phone. Okay, then on your podcast. But pleasure to talk to you, man. A long-time fan, and unfortunately, my son's asleep now. But on his behalf, I want to say we both miss when you lose your shit on the after games and all that, or the next morning like it used to be. But that being said, we miss that, brother. But just wanted to say also, I watch from Kitchener, so we're watching Philip Machar here a little bit, and then we caught the London Knights and the Mississauga Steelheads game with Logan Mailloux versus Owen Beck. I know he's a favorite of yours. And I'm just wondering, with that being said, we're watching some of the young guys. I don't hear too much talk on your show. I know it's Habs-centric, but I don't hear too much talk about whether it's Laval Rockets or any of our prospects. And I wonder if in the future.
Yeah, I will. And that's a great question. Thank you for asking me that, or a great point. And thanks for bringing it up. But let me ask you this: who on the Laval Rocket right now is close? Anthony Richard to play on a fourth line, Jesse Ylonen to play on a fourth line, maybe. So I think, with all due respect to them, Raphael Harvey-Pinard. If there were players that were closer to the big leagues and more of an impact, I'd be doing it more. Having said all that, I make you a promise that I will be talking more Laval Rocket going forward, okay?
Okay, or even just even a small shout out about where some of our prospects are, maybe for some of the other fans. Maybe.
It's noted, and you know what? I'm going to do it. If all goes well, I'll start doing it next week, okay?
Thanks, brother. I love your podcast.
Thank you. I'm Marinaro, and that clip you just watched is from our most recent episode of the Sick Podcast. Once again, follow us on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's absolutely free, and you'll be notified when we go live. I'm Marinaro. Tell your friends about it. This podcast, like me, is pretty sick.